However, I have Hanna-ified a lot of what is being taught about sales and marketing to just what feels good to me. So yes, I understand who my target market is, but I also understand myself. And I've done a lot of not just market research on other people, but research on me and like how I'm even like genetically wired. Like we use human design. I don't know if you're familiar with human design to get your soul's blueprint. So learning about myself, I really set up marketing strategies to be more based on how I'm naturally poised and positioned to attract people. So my marketing is less about figuring out everyone's problems and exactly what they need, and more so showing up with my personal brand.
Hello, Empower Nation. Welcome to Empower Her Money podcast. I am your host, Angela Duncan, speaker, best-selling author, serial entrepreneur. We talk all things money and business. Today's episode is sponsored by freemoneytipsbook.com, freemoneytipsbook.com. Check out that website, download your free ebook on 7 unshakable tips to get you started on your financial journey. Today's episode, I am interviewing Hanna with Dream Life is Real Life. She's going to explain what does that mean and how to 3 times your revenue and take more vacations. Check out the episode. Hi, Hanna. Welcome to Empower Her Money podcast. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm tickled to be here.
Yes, awesome. So we talked just for a minute offline, but I would love for you to kind of start off, talk about your story and how you got to doing what you're doing today.
Yeah, well, I was mentioning to you, I was just visiting Wisconsin, where I grew up, small town Wisconsin, not even knowing the word entrepreneur. And now here I am in my 30s, living in Mexico, running a business from my laptop. And I do know how to spell entrepreneur, but it has taken quite a lot of learning and spell checking for sure. So grew up in small town Wisconsin, and I just didn't fit in. And I think a lot of people can probably relate to that, whether you grew up in a place or you were working for a company that was just like, this is not it for me. And I tested a lot of different things to change my reality. And when I started to learn, it was actually through a yoga class that I started to learn about mindfulness and spirituality and this like whole other path that was just never taught, that I ate it up and I quit everything in a day. Seriously, Angela, I walked in, I quit my job. I told my roommate I was packing 5 boxes and moving to San Francisco because they had a yoga community and this word entrepreneur kept coming up. So I went to San Francisco, and of course, in a glamorous series of events, not glamorous at all. I'm talking about living in a very rough apartment, eating granola bars for dinner. I started to learn how to run my own business and be my own boss. And so much of that was intertwined with like this journey of spirituality and yoga. But I really didn't start to like understand what it meant to like feel at home or be like fit in until I started to play with money. Because as a woman, like this like root chakra, we would call it in yoga, just like basic needs being taken care of really is the ticket to freedom, confidence, choices. And so all of my work, whether I've been teaching yoga or life coaching or helping people with their marketing or copywriting, has been from this place of, I want to build you something that affords you freedom, as I was on the same journey.
Yeah, so I love that. So encouragement to the audience that's listening is sometimes you just need to say, I'm going to do it, and then just pack up and go. So I love that part of your story.
Yeah, when you're 24, go for it, girlfriend. I have learned in my experience that, of course, you know, money and the universe and life always supports me when I just jump off a cliff on one day. But I've also come to learn, you know, how to take a little bit more easeful risk and how to move into transitions, you know, over the last 10 years in ways that, again, feel supported, feel like there's something beneath me and it isn't just totally you'll catch your wings on the way down. You will, but there's other, not everyone has to do it that way.
So fast forward today, dream life is real life. How did that start? How did you come up with the name? And like, what does that mean now?
Well, I just couldn't stop saying dream life is real life. When I was in San Francisco and I started to make my own money through my business, I was interacting with people who just had lives that were so big and dreamy. I used to see this in movies. When I see a California license plate, I'm like, dream life is real life. I grew up like watching Clueless, but feeling like that was a world away. So I couldn't stop saying it. And I really became known as the dream life girl. And so I went with it, and this is a marketing hack as well. Sometimes the ideas that we sit and we think we got to micromanage, what's my title? Well, ask your people, ask your network, your audience is already reflecting back to you so much of your brand ethos. And so I went with it. And so Dream Life is Real Life is a coaching company that helps female entrepreneurs, set up their financial vehicle. And for most of the people that I attract into my world, it's women with coaching businesses, people who want to give back what they've learned and teach others how to have a more empowered life. And so Dream Life is Real Life became a slogan, a business, a hashtag, a podcast, a book, and again, a marketing tip, because this is what I do now. We do marketing for coaches, is to just take the path of least resistance. So that's how the name came to be.
Yeah, awesome. And I like how you said attract. So I think when you're building your brand, you're building your business, the information that you're putting out, you've got to be really mindful about who your target audience is, because you want to reach them. And I like the way you said attract. So that means that you are intentional with your marketing, so that the clients that you're attracting is exactly, your ideal avatar, I guess is, the keyword that people.
Yeah. And there's so many resources out there. I feel like I've gone through a lot of the masculine marketing training, a lot of the sales scripts and the identifying your ideal client avatar. And if you even get into like copywriting, it's like problem, agitate, solve. You have to know your people's problems so well. And I'm grateful for that education. However, I have Hanna-ified a lot of what is being taught about sales and marketing to just what feels good to me. So yes, I understand who my target market is, but I also understand myself. And I've done a lot of not just market research on other people, but research on me and like how I'm even like genetically wired. Like we use human design. I don't know if you're familiar with human design to get your soul's blueprint. So learning about myself, I really set up marketing strategies to be more based on how I'm naturally poised and positioned to attract people. So my marketing is less about figuring out everyone's problems and exactly what they need, and more so showing up with my personal brand.
Yeah, and figuring out. Yeah. Oh, definitely go dive right into it.
So the personal brand thing was a really buzzy word, being in the marketing industry, there's a new buzzword about every 3 months. And so personal branding was one that stuck around a lot in like 2017, 2018, because we were seeing how reality stars could make a whole life just being themselves. And then social media gave all of us our own reality TV show where we could monetize what we liked. And this whole like influencer era really, I think, showed us the power of personal branding. Now, I'm not an influencer, but I've learned a lot about the power of just being a human and sharing with other humans. Every business is a relationship business. And I talk about personal branding and that buzzword, but it's really just another way to say relationships. I mean, 100 years ago, the blacksmith you chose was because you knew him. Like it's all about relationships. Every single era of business, we always just have new shiny objects and toys to play with now in the marketing world. So over the past 10 years, I've really done my best to, like I said, Hanna-ify a lot of this noisy, what I now call bro marketing, which has become very convincing based and very, hurry up, cart is closing, you have this bleeding neck problem. And just none of that ever felt good to me. And I spent a lot of time asking myself, like, isn't there a better way? What if I just kept it light? What if we had fun? What if I focused on their dreams and their aspirations? And I brought people along on my journey of going from, living in San Francisco, sharing a porch as an apartment, to now living in Mexico, married in my dream house, looking at my pool. Like this whole sharing my story has really impacted the people around me. And it hasn't made me feel like I have to fit into some like marketing campaign, or I have to have some, chat bot running the show, but it's giving me a lot of permission to lead with my feminine energy. Now, this is another buzzword more people are talking about. Angela, are you hearing the like feminine energy everywhere?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or empower. Those are, I've been doing that for a bit, so I get it.
Yeah. So when I didn't call it feminine energy until a few years ago, but when I realized that we all have this like creative, nurturing, inclusive desire and aspect in ourselves, I wanted all of my marketing to feel that way. So this is what birthed the Feminine Marketing Boutique in 2020, was we're going to do marketing from a poised, inclusive, welcoming place, which is very different than a lot of where people start in learning sales. So now I'm on a mission to have as many people as possible have our feminine marketing funnel, which still has a structure, which still has a proven strategy based on growth and having more relationships in your business world. But again, seeped in and icing on the whole cake is iced with authenticity, being genuine, empowering others. And this is the Feminine Marketing Boutique and the funnel that we run. I can talk you through that if you want to get into the nitty-gritty of marketing. But I think the piece and like what I'm so passionate about today is just giving people the permission to show up as yourself and build a brand and build a business around that, because no one else can do that.
Yeah. And I think with, removing that word, that feminine energy word, that's just kind of who we are, right? And that's kind of why this podcast, Empower Her Money, and my audience is female, and 99% of my interviews are female. It's because we do think differently, we act differently, we approach business and investing very differently. And so if you want to call that feminine energy, great, that's a great buzzword, but it's just women being women and helping women and supporting women. So I love that. Now, you touched very briefly on AI. Being that you do help with marketing and coaching, what do you see as, how does that help your clients today?
Yeah. So we work with clients to create their marketing campaigns and produce content. And especially as women, we know we don't show up the same way every single day. We've got hormones and chemicals that make us be and vibe differently. And I'm not I understand my cycle. I don't use cycle thinking as like a big strategy or like this is the magic of it. But I'm just going to say, Angela, there are days that I do not want to sit down and think about what's the objection, what's the thing we're going to produce or record or whatever. And so using AI as like my personal brainstorm machine is what I use it for, and what we teach our clients to use it for as well. So I think it's just a great way. My husband used to be a 7th grade school teacher, and I was like, where was this when you were lesson planning? Like getting the initial, just like, okay, here are ideas that you can work with and modify and make your own. I think we've all figured out who's using AI to make their content. That's not how I want to use it, because it's very obvious a robot has written this still. But to get ideas flowing, to help me outline blogs, or just, okay, today I'm going to record a video on using feminine marketing in your sales. It'll spit something out that I can then respond to and say, oh, I wouldn't do that, but I would do this. And okay, now I have a place to just work smarter, not harder from.
Yeah. So
how about you? How are you using it?
Similarly, so I feel like sometimes I run out of ideas. I think like I know money, and if I'm reading a book, I'm like, oh yeah, I already know that. But what I've used ChatGPT for is just to help me be more creative in the way that I deliver, because I'm a very black and white person. I'm a very direct person, but not everyone receives that way. So I'm like, here's what I want to teach. Help me, fluff this a little bit so I can have some creativity, and that people will want to listen to it. So
it won't just be like a textbook. Yeah. That is hilarious, because I'm the exact opposite. And I've also used AI to like help me be more concise with my team, because I'm very bubbly. I use like ... and emojis. And like, if you see my text messages, you're like, okay, that girl's a lot. But when I talk to my team, I don't want to always be that. And so I've used AI too to be like, make this more concise. So I love that you can also use it to be like, make this more fluffy. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So what kind of advice, if you could give a simple tip maybe to our audience on what you're seeing right now, what maybe we should be paying attention to either as coaches or in our marketing, what's some ideas that you have for us?
Yeah. So there's one thing big picture, I just want to mention that I think people on like your listeners already understand. But if we can bring this like feminine energy and our natural inclination to like build community, this is huge. So this isn't just because the pandemic and people are craving community. This is actually because we are in the midst of a paradigm shift. And so for business owners, we need to understand that the old way of running businesses that was very much like one man on the top, corporate ladder, whoever's the most powerful wins the deal. We're not going to be in this era for much longer. We're already moving into a very communal, like consumer space. And you're going to see this in every aspect of society, but consumers, okay, they're reading reviews, they're talking to their friends, they're asking for referrals, they're looking at you in at least 4 locations. They're no longer just seeing your ad or seeing your Instagram. So coaches, you need to make sure that you have your thought leadership or your credibility positioned in at least 4 places. And you want to give them at least 7 touch points. So again, like following up and having a nurture sequence and expecting that, people aren't just going to get in bed with you after the first date when we're talking about sales and marketing, nurturing, building community, and bringing people together. So I want all of you coaches to not be thinking about selling to the next one person, but to be selling to the next group, right? So this is a huge just like paradigm shift from a sales perspective, but it's also what we're going to see working. Enrolling cohorts, working with mastermind communities, more of these like hybrid experiences for coaches to provide their clients, because they don't just need information, they don't just need accountability, they don't even just need coaching, they also need to be in community to have breakthroughs. So if we can think about that in every aspect of marketing, bringing groups together, collaborating, cross-promoting, hosting events with other people, not just focusing on you and your personal brand and your next client, but what is your community calling in? Does that help? Does that resonate?
Yeah, that does. And I understand about the collaboration. We used to go to conferences and webinars and things like that where it's just one speaker. But now we find that when we add other people and we collaborate and we do events together, our impact is so much bigger because one, I'm going to step up to the plate a little bit more because someone else is asking me to be part of their platform, and then just deliver. And I think when we sit down and talk about ideas, that collaboration brings out more ideas, which obviously helps the audience that's there. So I love that thought process on the collaboration.
Yeah, it's huge and it's fun and it's easier and you get to be more in your zone of genius. So I used to see people like running these summits and I was like, oh girl, I would not, like, it's just so much tech and so much thinking and so much figuring it out. And when you can bring people together, this is the whole philosophy of our feminine marketing boutique. I've got a pretty solid team right now because I want people in their zone of genius. You own the email marketing, you own the tech, you own the setting appointments for our clients. And this is also different where again, we can shift out of this solopreneur, one woman show idea. We start to create economies. This is what women just naturally do. And this is why this show is so great. Like when we get together, we're not over here talking about how I'm going to steal your Lamborghini and beat you to the top of some like game that we're playing in numbers. No, we talk about how can we collaborate? How can we create economies for other people? So that's a very feminine approach. And again, I want coaches to take away this other big nugget. Stop asking, where's my next client? But rather, where is that next cohort? Where is my community? And if you can't find it, build it.
Yeah. Can't agree. That's good information there. What's next for you? What do you see in the future for your company?
Oh my gosh, we are undertaking a massive expansion of our offer. So for the last couple of years, we've been doing done for you content marketing and relying on organic marketing strategies like helping our clients host summits or running their entire Facebook group or helping them do all of their email marketing. And now we are doing full feminine marketing funnel builds so that my team handles everything from, honing your marketing message to if you need ads to grow your audience or if you need to outreach to people. Like, we really are now stepping into a full service marketing agency, which, Angela, I was so afraid of the A word. Like, agency, as a woman, I had so many experiences with like bro marketers and just unhelpful agencies. So I've been going through a like identity transformation to step into, allowing myself to build a big enough team and to lean into that full solution for coaches who want to build a funnel that brings them one client per week.
Yeah. And changing that mindset around agency, because it does sound like a car salesman, man driving business type of word, whereas we're not really selling, we're servicing. And when you kind of shift your mindset and think about it more from a service perspective,
Yes.
You're no longer a salesperson. Because for me, I don't want to sell anybody, right? I don't want to sell sponsorships on my podcast, but I want to service my clients and say, hey, I have an audience. Let me help you reach more people. So just changing that mindset is incredible.
Yes. Yeah. So full service agency here. We are, we're owning that identity. And the other thing that I'm really looking forward to is taking more vacation. Okay. So this past year I had 10 weeks off the computer, and next year my goal is 16 weeks off the computer. And this is all based on having a feminine marketing funnel, following our standard operating procedures, because my main driver really is that freedom, building businesses and brands that afford us freedom. So it's that time of year where my husband and I are pulling out the whiteboards and we're starting to talk about what destinations we want to do, and we're starting to track flights. So that's the other big piece of me and what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. You've had to take the time to build out that team, put people in the right place, and make sure that it's a good working almost machine so that you can step away and that your clients are still taken care of. And now you're teaching other people to be able to do the same, have the same freedom, and kind of release that control a little bit, which I know can be hard for us entrepreneurs as well.
Yes, you nailed it. That's the dream life. That's what I always say. Dream life is real life right there.
Yeah. So talk about your show a little bit. What inspired you to start and what does that look like? And obviously, what's the name?
Yeah. So our show is the Feminine Marketing Show, and it's been going for about a year. And that was after I stopped a different show I had going on for about 6 years. And the intention for this new show is really about strategy. So we want to be able to give women not just the inspiration of like, yes, do your morning routine, and yes, get into alignment, and yes, listen to Abraham Hicks and manifest all of the random checks in the mail. Great. That was more like the Dream Life is Real Life show. Yeah. The Feminine Marketing Show is dedicated to giving coaches the exact marketing strategies that we're using to help them grow community and leverage their strengths to earn more money. So that's what we're doing over there.
Yeah, so kind of like an open book. I was listening to the Elon Musk interview. I don't know if you saw the hour-and-a-half interview. I do believe that he's one of the smartest people of our time, and it will go down in history, but he's also a very different person. But what he was saying, though, and I found really interesting, is that a lot of his companies, when he files a patent, he makes it open. So you have a choice on a patent, whether you're going to keep it private and only you can see it, or you can open it for people to kind of look and copy. Well, you can look and copy all you want, but if you don't implement and you don't actually run it like he's running it, you're not going to be successful like he does. So you opening up your tips and your strategies for people is great, because you know that you want to help people, but at the end of the day, if they're not taking action and doing what you're telling them to do, they're not going to be successful. And then hence why we hire coaches, to make sure that we are accountable and doing what we're, should be doing to grow our business.
Yeah. And here with that, this is like a great like abundance nugget, because I know your audience is like thinking about being more abundant, feeling more abundant, yes, and money. But I also like from this place of just like sharing everything is because I now know I am not going to do every single coach's funnel. I really want them all to have it though. And so, yeah, people are more so now coming to us to implement. to get it done, to do it for them. And those of you who like don't have the cash flow yet or don't want to do it yourself, then like, I really want you to have this because I feel like I found the best solution in the universe for getting coaches their life back.
Yeah, but you've got to actually take action.
Do it. Yes. Or hire us. Exactly. You got it.
Nike had the best slogan there. Just do it, right? If you don't do it, then you can't expect to be successful in anything.
You got
it. So why Mexico? Or I should ask, what else is on your travel list that you think are going to be heading to next year?
You know, it's funny. We're in this phase right now where a lot of our friends are getting married and having babies. So we're doing like a friend trip, which is actually sending us to America more than we usually go. We do have one friend who's had their baby and is going to Thailand. So we're in conversation about Asia. I've been there before, but why not? You know, you got friends in fun places. That's really the travel that we're up to this year. But my husband and I both are just travel bugs. We both love everything, even like street tacos that goes with traveling the world. And we visited this place in Mexico, among many other places in Mexico 5 years ago. And we just couldn't stop thinking about it. And then, thank you, internet, I got connected with some really impressive YouTube channels. And during the pandemic, it was just like, you know what? We're doing it. Let's go. We don't need to, stay in California for this nonsense. Let's give ourselves just 6 months. We'll try out Merida, Mexico. And now that's been 3 years later. We bought a house. We are now friends with the YouTubers we used to watch. It's all very much a testament of just following your heart and those things that call to you and maybe don't make sense, but like, I just feel like it's for me. Just pull it on my heart. We answered that call.
Yeah. And it's like trading stuff for the experiences. Like you don't take any one of them with you, right? At the end of the day, you can't take anything once you're not here anymore, but to be able to have those life experiences versus, some of for me, it would be extra clothes and shoes, but I could give some of that up to travel a little bit more.
Yes. Yeah. And it's amazing. We sold everything multiple times, like garage sales and storage units. It was just kind of like, oh, here they go again, selling all their stuff. And now having a home base does feel really good. Like you said, those material things that just make you feel good, and having the house and we're decorating it for the holidays. Like it does feel really good to have both the home base, and now we live in a place where we can walk out and have street tacos or have an adventure when we want to, but that balance and like finding what, is valuable and worth putting your energy into. Yeah. We're part of the abundance game.
Yep. What's important to you. All right. So I have a fun question for you, completely off topic. But if you could have a superpower, what would you choose and why?
Okay. The thing that comes to mind is reading minds. So as a marketer, I'm trying to do this all of the time. I'm trying to read the minds of consumers. I'm trying to read the minds of clients, like really understand like what it is they want. And sometimes too, after like sometimes I would just like to know like what they thought of that. And you can ask a lot of questions, but I would love to be able to read minds because then I can get to solutions faster. Mm-hmm. And I'm a solution provider. I am a psychology major. I want to know all the personality tests you've ever taken. I just love getting to know humans. And if I could read their minds, that would but can I have an off button? Can I turn it on and off when I want? Okay. That's my superpower then.
That's part of your superpower. Yeah. All right. Hannah, it's been amazing talking with you today. If our audience wants to get in touch with you, learn more about what you're doing, or just kind of follow along with your tips and strategies, how do they reach you?
Please follow me on Instagram, Hanna Hermanson _. There's only 2 H's in that whole thing. So find me, Hanna Hermanson _ or dfycopywriting.com will also lead you in the right direction to getting in contact with me.
Thank you. Thank you again for your time today. Truly appreciate it. Make sure you go check out her Instagram to get those strategies, but also take action and just live your best life. Thanks, Hanna. Thank you so much for tuning into Empower Her Money podcast. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to subscribe, share this podcast, and leave a review wherever you are tuning in.